when we are coming up with programs, right? We know that we are writing program for users. We are designing program for people to use, right? So one of the key feature of the thing is that the user should be able to interact with the program. So there should be some data that we need to take from the user so that we can do whatever they want for us to do. They want us to do for them, right? So that's why we are going to use how to take the user input. So we are going to use a Python program to know how to take user input from the user and then use that particular input to do something. So to do that, we use the particular function. Is this how we have the print into brackets that we're using all so far, right? We also have that print is to expose the thing to the terminal, to the user, print this. But if you want to take the user, we have another function called the input function. Input function, it also has the same format, like this. We have input, then the curly bracket, square bracket. Yeah, there's parentheses, there's a bracket, normal bracket around it. Like just like how we have the input, the print function. You see the print function, you also had it like this, right? So input function is also something that is inside Python like that. The print function is also inside like that. But let's see how to use the input function now. Remember, input function is to take what the user is, take something from the user, but the print function is to show it out to the users, right? Okay, so let's see how to take the user. So I'm say input this, right? Will this work? Let me run this. Let me just input. So let me run this. It's watching also. What should we do? What's going on? Our Keza is just waiting and watching as well. Let's enter 3. Press enter, and that's it. So input. Then I enter 3. Right. Let me do it again. You didn't see it all right. When we are here and I run the code, see the cursor is here waiting for us. The cursor is waiting for us to enter something because our code contains an input. So when the code is running and it gets to the inputs, it will have to put the cursor and be waiting for us to enter something. Let me enter mine. When you enter, when you are ready, when you are done with your entry, how will the Python know that you are done? How will the terminal know that you are done? You press the enter key. Press the enter key, then I'm done, and the code is terminated. Because the only thing you have here is an input. Okay. So that's how to use the input basically. Right now, when we take the user input, right? When we take the input from the user, we want to use it to do something, not just input, then you enter the thing that the thing just ends. It's like how you just open YouTube to watch this video, for example, and then you say you want to go to this particular video, you are searching for the video, press enter now, then the YouTube just closes, right? It doesn't make sense. So we need to use whatever the user will give us to do something, right? So we are going to put whatever the user will give us into a variable. That's the default way of doing that. That's the better way of doing that. Whatever the user gives you, we use it as, we use that input, we use that as an input and store it in a variable automatically, directly. We do it at once. So let me call this user input is equal to, so then you now bring input. Yes. So input, this is the best way of doing that. So user input then equals to, then you do the input now. So let's run this and see if we to do the same thing. Yeah, basically we are just storing the same thing. The cursor is still waiting for us 7, then it closes because we are not done. We are not printing anything for us to get any result, so the code should end. It makes sense. But this is the best way of doing that. You should have a variable user input, then you have the input. But then based on what you want to get, right, you need to know that you need to write the name of the variable to make sense with whatever you are expecting the user to input at this point. So for example, if you are expecting a name, then we just write user, let me write username is equal to input, or let me say user first name, right? That will be more user first name. So user first name will be equal to input. Okay, let me run this again, right? The cursor is still waiting for us. So I will enter 7. Did you notice something? The cursor is waiting for me. And the cursor is not telling, I don't know what to enter. So I just enter 7. But inside the code, right? I have user first name is equal to input. So if you read the code, you are going to see that I am looking for user first name at that point into the cursor. That's what the user is supposed to enter. But at the terminal end, there's no message to tell the user that this is what you have to enter. So how do we solve this issue? It's quite simple. You have to add a message to the user so that the user can read that, oh, this is what you want at this point. If not, the cursor, an empty cursor will be there waiting for the user. The user can enter any nonsense. So we don't want that. So we need to follow the input. We need to make sure the input, before the input, we put a message that the user can read and know that, okay, this is what I need at this point. To do that means to include that message, we have this thing called inside it, you do it as a print function again, then quotation mark again. Yes, the input also take the quotation mark. So we say, we tell the user, enter your first name here. So I will do colon, right? Let me run this. Yeah, so now it makes sense, right? So enter first name here, then quotation mark then. So now I can enter someone. So yeah, so we are done. So here, so it makes more sense, right? There's a message and the user know that, okay, enter first name. So I now have someone, so I can now enter someone. I can read the message. Is this message? But then see, it is too close to the quotation mark, right? Let me see, I didn't add the column. Let me say I didn't add the column. And I have something like this. See, let me enter someone. Is that someone? See, someone is close to the year. So this is what you have to keep in mind. Whenever you are using the input function and then you are done with your message, right? Always allow a space before you leave. So there's a semicolon just to let the user enter. But if you allow a space, add one space, at least one space, so that when the user will enter their entries, right, it will be a bit separate from the message that you are giving them. Okay, so let's run this and see if we have that issue. So now you see the cursor is now away from the year or the column. So let's write someone here again. Yeah, so this one is clearer. It's clearer. But here we are not doing anything with the variable. So what we are going to do is that I'm going to now print a message for the user. So I'll say user print. So when you are done entering your name, I'll print a message for you again. So I'll use the F keyword. We learned it last in the previous session, right? We now begin to use it. So I say print the let me see, here's a message. The name you have entered is, then I'll do my curly bracket because I want to call a variable. You see, we did that in the previous session, right? How to use the F keyword. So the user is going to enter something, and then that something that is going to enter it will be stored in this variable. And now this variable can be used in any other portion of our code. So in the subsequent lines of our code, we can use it. So this is what I'm using here. So I'm saying the user should enter a name, and then after the user entered the name, press enter. Then we'll now print that, oh, the name you have entered is this. That's basically that. Let's see how it comes out. Yeah, so enter your first name. I'm tired of someone. Let me write another name called, which name? Samson, right? Samson. Okay, yeah. So we have the name you have entered is Samson. That's it. So the print function, you know it already. It is used to print the message. So this is to illustrate to you that whatever you have entered in this first line is stored in here. It is stored inside this variable, and you can use this variable now to use in subsequent lines of your code, right? This is a basic introduction to the input function. Now there are some common knowledge that we need to actually add to the input function, and then we'll do that in the next session. See you there.